Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants Hangout. My name is Joe Grabowski, and I'll be your host for today. Really excited to be going on today's virtual field trip. We are heading down to the Virginia Zoo in Norfolk, and today we're going to learn all about the beautiful birds. So we're going to gain a better understanding of the physical and behavioral adaptations that enable birds to survive in so many different habitats. Really excited today to be joined by Steph and Matt. They're going to take over for a bit before we meet some of our classrooms and launch into the Q&A. So Steph and Matt, it's so great to have you joining us live today. We're excited to meet some of the friends you have joining you.
They are excited too, and you may actually hear some of them in the background. So don't be alarmed if you hear lots of noises because our birds are very vocal today. So you might hear some of them before you get to see them. But as we said, we are learning about beautiful birds. And so there are some traits that make all birds the same, and that is that they are warm-blooded. So just like us, they are warm-blooded. All of them lay eggs, and all of them have some type of feather coating or feather covering. So Tia here is our first bird that you're going to meet. So I'm going to bring her a little bit closer. Sure.
Thank you. You want to see something creepy?
I can hear you. So and our Toco toucans is from South America, and she is one of the largest species of toucan. So considered one of the largest because of their very long beak and the beak to body size. So you can see that even though she is not a very large bird, she does have a very large beak. So she does use that beak in a variety of different ways. It is not a strong beak for something like defense, so she can't really protect herself with it. But what she is going to use it for is reaching for really high fruit that is hanging up in the trees, and then she's going to toss it back. So you might have just seen I gave her a piece of grape there. See if she'll eat another one. And she's just going to throw the fruit right back into her mouth. So she's going to grab fruit off the tree. She's going to toss it back into her mouth. You might notice her tongue sticking out a little bit. That is that little feathery thing on the side. And her beak is kind of almost see-through. So you can kind of see when it's in the sun, you can almost see through her beak. Now her main job in the rainforest is going to be as a seed disperser. So she eats lots and lots of different types of fruits. And then, of course, as she is flying from tree to tree or moving about the rainforest, sometimes they are going to poop. And when she goes to the bathroom, wherever she goes is where some new fruit trees might grow. So she's going to be able to help us grow our rainforests. These guys have something else pretty cool about them, and that is that they can see in ultraviolet colors. So where they can see more colors than we can, Tia here needs to tell how ripe a fruit is. So she can tell how ripe the fruit is by just looking at it because they show different varieties of color. And then she's going to pick the ripest fruit to be the one that she is going to eat. These guys live in groups, so they do fly around a little bit in their trees, but they can live in small groups up to about 6 birds. And they're going to kind of hang out together. Now, something really fun that they do, you saw how she was tossing the fruit back with her mouth, is that if there is a toucan out there searching for a mate, and say he finds a really pretty girl toucan and he's looking to see where she's at, he's going to throw fruit to her. So they're going to throw fruit back and forth so they can definitely catch their food and then toss. If she decides that she likes him too, she's going to throw the fruit right back. So she's going to kind of play with the fruit there. So that is one of the ways that they are going to use that. She's just kind of squirting some juice out of that. Now, she has some different feet. She has these feathers. She's got black feathers. She's got some red feathers on her tail. She's got some yellow feathers. And then she does have the colors around her eye. You can see the orange and the blue. And that's actually the color of her skin. So her skin is that color. But she has those different feathers. What they aren't made for is flying really long distances. So she's going to more hop from tree branch to tree branch. She's not going to fly a ton of distance. So usually she's going to stay just where her food is, and then she's going to kind of find a different tree to go to. She also doesn't have very strong feet. So I can hold her right here on my arm, and her feet are not super strong. So they're not really gripping too hard, and we don't have to worry about her scratching up our arms or anything like that. So her feet are not made for much more than just hopping from tree branch to tree branch. So now we said she is a South American bird, so she's found in the rainforest. We do have 2 other birds with us that are also found in the rainforest that you're going to get to meet next. So I'm going to take Tia off to the side, and you guys are going to get to see another feathery friend that has lots of bright colors on her.
All right, guys. So just like Tia, this is Billie Jean. She is a blue and yellow or blue and gold macaw. So they are also found in South America, and they do have very similar traits. they are very noisy as well. So you might hear her making some noise in the background, and we also have a friend for her behind you as well. So you might hear some other noises. But with macaws, they have zygodactylic feet. That's the big word for today. That just means they have 2 toes facing forward and 2 toes facing backwards. You can see if you can show. I want to see your feet. Good. And with that being said, that's just to hold onto the branch. Like Stephanie was saying with Tia, they hold onto branches, perches, anywhere that they can get to so they can kind of hang down and grab onto fruits or leaves, flowers, or even nuts. So Tia had a really long bill. It's very soft, basically just used for reaching things that are out of her grasp. As Billie Jean here has kind of a sharp pointed beak. She has a very big beak as well, if you can see. Very large beak, but has a very different type of adaptation for her because they would be eating nuts, just like she's eating right now. Tia had a very soft bill. She wasn't able to break nuts or anything like that, but as you can see, Billie Jean can plow through nuts real quick. They have a very strong bite, and they can get into the husks of thicker fruits, into the seed pods, and because of all those seed pods, just like Tia was a seed dispersal, so is a macaw. So they'll eat all those nuts, all those seeds. They'll fly around. And these guys are a little bit better at flying than a toucan would be. They can reach probably about 30 to 35 miles an hour when they fly. And when they do, they kind of cover a pretty good distance. And all those seeds, when they go to the bathroom, hit the floor and eventually grow up into plants, trees, anything kind of re-nourishing the forest floor. These guys are very, very smart. Like I said, we have a friend for Billie Jean just off camera here, and he's been trained for a lot of fun things. So I'll let Stephanie bring him over here. You can probably hear him in the background already. These guys are very social birds, so they like to hang out in big groups, and they are also very, very smart. They can learn how to do a whole bunch of cool things, and I don't want to take anything away from Stephanie, so she'll teach you guys what we've taught some of our macaws here at the zoo. Good job.
All right, guys. So this is Big Red. Big Red, can you say hello?
Hello.
Good bird. So he has learned how to say hello. So he knows a couple different more things than Billie Jean does. So they are very smart, as Matt said. Now, something different is that birds that are kept with us, parrots that are with us, are going to learn how to mimic, or they're going to learn how to speak things that we say. So you're not going to go out into the rainforest of South America and hear a whole bunch of birds yelling hello. That is just something that they do when they're in human care. So, yep. Are you a good bird? Yeah, you're a good bird. So he is going to learn different noises or different things. He can say hello. He can nod his head. Can you wave to everybody? Good bird, Big Red. And let's see, Big Red, what's this? Rawr. That's a rawr. But what is this? What is that? Cracker? That's a cracker, yes. So sometimes he gets a little camera shy and he likes to show off. Now you did hear him roar. Some of those things that he likes to do himself. You may have heard a boo in the background as you were hearing. He does kind of hide under his paper and say boo. Big Red, are you a lion? Nope, now you're not going to roar. Now he's just going to make me look like a fool because I'm going to just sit here and roar, and he's not. Roar, roar, there you go. So they learn all these different things. Now, they're not going to repeat every word I say. So he's not going to say everything that I say. But if they learn things or they hear things fast enough or long enough, they're going to start to mimic those. So different things that they might mimic, because a lot of times people say hello. A lot of times they say their name. They heard a lot of Polly want a cracker, so that's why Big Red says cracker. And they will occasionally talk to each other. So sometimes they're going to make noises back and forth, and they can learn from each other. But Big Red here is one of our more show-offs that we have. So he likes to show off all his different behaviors. Now, these two were actually rescue birds for us. So Big Red and Billie Jean, we don't know how old they are because somebody had them as a pet and didn't realize they lived to be about 50 years old. So we're not sure how old they are, and he's a rescue. So we do want to make sure that if you want a macaw for a pet, or if you get a macaw for a pet, you know that they're going to live a very, very long time. So now you've met two birds that use their beaks for one thing. They're both covered in feathers, and they both have different types of feet. Now we have a very different type of bird coming up next. So I'm going to give this bird a big, wide move. Boop, can you say goodbye? There you go. Can you blow a kiss? Good bird. So Big Red's going to go off to the side, and we're going to bring our next bird in.
All right, guys. So like Stephanie said, this is a very different bird. So Harriet here is a Harris hawk. Now, Harris hawks are in the group that would be called birds of prey or raptors. The reason for that is they are very different. They have different adaptations compared to, say, a parrot like a macaw does. You know that those feet are used for grabbing on branches and hanging on things such as, perches or even cliff sides, as birds of prey like Harriet here use their feet to be hunting things. So being a bird of prey means that you're going to be eating other animals, whether those are rodents, small mammals, even other birds, and the possibility that they have doing that is just going to be all through their feet. So if you can see real carefully here, she has really sharp nails on those feet. They're also called talons. They're not called nails or anything like that. They're called talons because these guys have all their strength in their feet. Now with Tia and with the macaws that we had, you didn't have to wear a glove for them because they didn't really have strong feet. As Harriet here, you can see I'm wearing a glove. The reason for that is because Harriet, even though that she doesn't mean to hurt me, the way that she just stands on a glove is very, very, I guess, tight. As she kind of clenches onto your hand a little bit with those sharp talons, it creates a little bit of a layer of protection for us. So if you guys squeeze your fist as hard as you can, just give it a big squeeze, that's about 30 pounds of pressure per square inch. As Harriet here can do anywhere between about 300 to 400 pounds of pressure per square inch. And she's a pretty small bird. She only weighs maybe 2 pounds, if that. So she has a very different kind of attitude compared to parrots, that they'll be hunting with those feet. They'll be taking down animals that could be twice the size, if not even larger than she is. Now, also with birds of prey, you can see that their beak is a lot smaller than Tia's and the macaws. It has a nice little hook on it. The reason for that is because these guys, hunting and eating things, they need to be able to tear into their prey, and that beak kind of helps get through the flesh and all the other cartilage and everything that could be that they needed to get through to eat whatever they wanted to get out of that animal. Now, Harriet here, being a Harris hawk, is native to North America into Mexico, southwestern North America, I should say. She is a desert species, so these guys have some pretty cool adaptations that go along with that. Harris hawks are actually one of the only birds of prey that actually hunt in a pack together. They've actually been called the wolves of the sky because of that. They are a matriarchal society, which means that, sorry boys, but the girls are in charge. So Harriet here would definitely be the head honcho of her clan, her pack, and they actually hunt together. So usually birds of prey, like you can hear in our background, one of our other guys you'll meet pretty soon, they're solo. They're very, individuals that they'll just go out and they'll hunt and they'll take down their own prey. As with Harris hawks, they could be in groups of up to 10 individuals, and they kind of coordinate together like a wolf to take down whatever prey they're looking at. Harris hawks are also pretty cool in a way that they're from the desert. So there's not lots of trees and places to hide or perch up onto to get a surveillance of the area around them to figure out what food is where. So these guys will actually stand on a cactus. And because not all animals want to, stand on a prickly cactus, I wouldn't like doing that. It'll be the least dominant male of the group that'll be standing on the cactus. And then the next male will stand on top of that bird, right on the back shoulder blades here, and then another one on top of that, and another one on top of that. And at the very top, you'll have the head honcho, the female, that is looking around and figuring out what exactly she wants her clan to go around and take down for dinner that night. So it's a very interesting group dynamic that they have, being, able to figure out and kind of coordinate together to take down an animal. And these guys are also the only birds of prey that will hunt on the ground as well. So in the desert, you might have thorny brushes or bushes around. If a jackrabbit runs underneath those bushes, a Harris hawk will actually land on the ground and chase after it on foot. So then their prey doesn't get away just by being slippery and getting underneath a bush. So we do have another bird of prey, which I'm sure you guys can hear. He's a little bit bigger and a little bit more impressive than Harriet, only being 2 pounds here. So I will pass it back to Stephanie to check out our next guy, Carson.
All right, guys. So I'm sure you heard him in the background, and I'm sure everybody can tell what this is, and that is an owl. Carson here is a Eurasian Eagle Owl. You're probably going to see me feeding him while he's here in my glove. These guys are known as one of the largest species of owls in the world. So Carson has an impressive almost 5-foot wingspan. So if you could see all of me, about as tall as I And they are normally going to live in Europe and Asia, kind of more the colder mountainy areas. He does have fully feathered feet that you can see. He's got very, very strong talons. So these guys here, there's a lot of misconceptions about owls. Obviously, he's making lots of noise right now, but he is talking. He does hoo as well. But you can see him kind of turning his head. We'll see if he'll turn his head a little bit more. No, he's just gonna look at different things. So Carson here can't turn his head a full circle. They can't turn their head all the way around. Because of course, if you kept turning your head all the way around, it might start to pop off. So Carson can turn his head 270 degrees. So not a full circle, but almost all the way. The reason he can do that is because he has twice as many vertebrae in his neck as we do, and he doesn't have a shoulder bone. So he does not have that bone on his shoulders to stop him from turning his neck. Now, the reason they need to do that is because they're normally going to sit really quietly up in a tree and wait for their food to kind of run across. And then they're going to swoop down and they're going to grab it with those big, powerful feet. Now, you can see these big feathers that he has on the top of his head. Those are not actually his ears. What those are little feathers that he can make himself look like a dead tree branch. So if he's sitting up high in the tree, he can just kind of camouflage with all those feathers that he's covered in. And he has different variations of feathers. He's got down feathers. He's got thicker, broader feathers that he's going to have on the tips of his wings so that he can fly more. And then on those feathers on his wings, he also has, they have what's called serrated edges. And that is kind of like the bristles of a comb. And what that is that helps him to fly silently. So Carson here, if he swoops down on his prey, which can be anything from, say, a mouse or a rabbit, to they've even been known to take down even small deer up in the forests and up in the mountain areas, he's going to swoop down and they're never going to hear him coming. So he's got silent flight with all those feathers that he has. So he can fly around and not even make a sound. He also has really, really good vision, so he's going to use that vision to hunt, but he's going to use his hearing more. So he's got the hearing really, really well. They can even hear a mouse up to under about a foot of snow. So that's how strong their hearing is. Or if you had a mouse released in a completely dark room, an owl can find it. So they're going to be able to find those. So now we met lots of different types of birds today, as we called our beautiful birds. We had different birds of different colors. We have birds with different beaks. We have birds with different feet, but all of them have different things in common. So they all lay eggs. They all have feathers around their body, depending on what they use those feathers for, different types of flight or other things. And they are all warm-blooded. So even though all birds have those same characteristics, they are different. So we have variations in our birds, from our fruit-eating birds to our meat-eating birds, our birds of prey like Carson here. But we want to thank you guys for joining us to meet all of our beautiful birds today.